What is up, all my fellow operatives? The Nemesis James Taylor here, or AKA Taft Taylor for this channel. Welcome to the newest episode of the Nemesis Sessions. My name is the Nemesis James Taylor, and my guest today, the only one, the creepy one himself, Creepy Leech. Leech, welcome to the Nemesis Sessions. How are you today, sir?
Leech is doing fine, despite having gotten beaten up several times recently, but that's another story.
I hear you. I hear you. It's been an interesting past few weeks for your company, the company, New Era Wrestling. Is that correct?
NEW, yes.
NEW. So to catch people up to speed, especially for the fans here on my YouTube as well, and for the people that are going to be watching this on the Nude Network, who is the Leech and where did he come from?
Well, you may be asking yourself, who is this masked weirdo on the camera here? So let's delve into a little bit of history, shall we? The Leech is an entity that has been around since the beginning of time, my friends, and the Leech goes from place to place, and unfortunately has to, how do we say, claim souls in order to exist. It's an unfortunate business, but someone has to do it. So, in the wrestling business, people such as myself wear masks to hide their identity because the Leech can look like anyone, be anywhere, and that sort of thing. So, over the years, we have done this thing called promo wrestling. And my friend, the Nemesis here, has been a part of that for a while, and
Yes,
brought the Leech on board in things in the past, and now the Leech has returned said favor. So yes, that's basically the basic story.
That's true. That's absolutely true. You're not wrong there. See, I've been in promo wrestling, but of course the show isn't about me. But I have been in promo wrestling for a little over 2 years now. Let's just say a good 25, 26 months. August 2020. But everybody has their times when doing it, and during that time, promo wrestling was a new thing. But as far as the wrestling business, now James Taylor has been in the wrestling business for going on 23 years now, on and off, especially. And I guess it kind of leads into my second question for you, Mr. Leech, and that is, how was the Leech brought into promo wrestling, and how did you adapt to it, especially being the entity that the Leech is?
Well, I believe it was 2020. I believe it was before the pandemic, if the Leech's memory is correct. There was a promo wrestling company, which, for viewers that may be watching this for the first time, what that exactly is basically, how do we say it? People trash talk each other, or they diss each other, and sometimes these battle raps, so to speak, are judged, and sometimes they are not. There have been several different companies in the time from 2020 till now, and the Leech was brought into one of these companies known as PCW back in the day. That is where the Leech first encountered the Nemesis.
And that was a very, very interesting time frame for sure, whenever Leech and the Nemesis first met.
Right.
Very good times. We don't have to talk about those other companies, but we can discuss, the things that happened during that time. You see, I was on a very high pedestal. I kind of put myself on, maybe toot my own horn a little bit, but I considered myself, and will always consider myself, Leech, the top guy, and I think you know that very well. As
Yes.
I honestly believe anybody in that locker room that's watching this as well should consider themselves to be the top guy, because if you're not the top guy and you don't want to do any better, then don't sit there and cry and whine about it and ask questions all the time. If you want to be the best, buddy, if you don't believe you're the best, then nobody's going to believe in you. And I think you know that better than anybody, Leech.
Yes.
You know?
So
Um,
to make a long story short, PCW is no longer a thing. It was transformed into another company, and it grew from there. And then that company grew into what is now NEW.
and that is absolutely true. And because of that, we are where we're at today. And if anything, everything happens for a reason. Sometimes you got to bake a few ingredients to get the right recipe, and you got to
Yes,
experiment with different things, and everything happens for a reason. Um, let's go ahead and kind of veer off a little bit. Still wrestling, of course, but
yes.
let's drift away from the promo wrestling for a quick minute, Leech. And I want to know, how long has the Leech been a fan of pro wrestling?
Oh, well, since the Leech was a very little tiny Leech, so probably the 80s, perhaps, with Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair and Macho Man and all of those individuals. Back when there were territories, you
Yeah.
know, the Leech has been a fan of wrestling for quite some time.
Who is the Leech's favorite wrestler or
Oh, that
family?
would probably
Well, it doesn't even have to be one.
be the man that is head of creative in WWE right now, Triple H.
That's a very good one to have right there.
Yes,
Definitely one of my favorites as well. I've been a lifelong fan of Triple H since he was just Hunter Hearst Helmsley. A lot of people do confuse me with liking Stone Cold. Of course, I like Stone Cold. He's one of my top guys. He's a guy I idolize. But what people seem to my attitude, this isn't about me, but just so it verifies, my attitude is a lot like Austin. My fighting style is a mixture of Austin and Triple H, and my intensity is a lot like Triple H. But it's fine. It is what it is. But the Leech, however, how is the Leech as an entity? How many souls has he been destroying since he's been on the face of this earth?
well, Leech has been around for thousands and thousands of years since basically time began. Anything that dies in any way, shape, or form, the Leech has had a hand in that in some way, shape, or form. If you are to believe the legends, that is. Some people might not believe that, but that's fine. Some people might believe that the Leech is merely a dork in a mask, and you're welcome to believe that if you wish. But the Leech is what the Leech is. So
Yeah.
there you go.
And that right there is completely understandable. Now I know that the Leech has been doing a lot of damage since being in the promo world,
That
and
is correct.
I guess it's safe to say that I have been on the fair end of that ass whooping quite a few times myself. I think our first battle was in a steel cage match, and when you got the call, Leech, when you got the call from the board of directors at that time that you were going to be in a match with the Nemesis James Taylor in a steel cage, what was going through the Leech's brain? Just another victim, another soul to take?
Well,
Curiosity, your intake on that.
what ended up happening was we ended up putting on one of the best shows of all time at that particular point in time. That particular match was viewed by others, and the word of promo wrestling scene got around to people, and people such as Skippy the Evil Clown, for example, were brought on board to the world of professional promo wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you created a TikTok and all this sort of thing. We've branched out in many different social media platforms since that time,
Yeah.
in TikTok and Twitch and YouTube and Nemesis sessions, etc. That sort of thing. And so one would tend to think that a match such as that is beneficial to the promo community as a whole.
Yes, and that right there is that just speaks volumes for itself, because the promo world has grown and there's many branches out there. There's many companies and whatnot, and that's all fine. And everybody's striving to be the best, just like any competition is. But the one thing that I think that we have had over everybody else is the video game. And that's what leads me to one of my next questions is what was it like? Let's go ahead and just kind of go into it, Leech. What was it like for you when seeing your character on WWE 2K20 for the first time and being brought into that world of a vision that I had? I'm not going to take all the credit for it, but a vision that I had that later on you molded into what you have today.
It was surreal, to be honest. The concept that what we do in the promo community can therefore be translated to where we could see ourselves digitally was mind blowing at the time for a dork in a mask, so to speak.
No.
And we have how do we say it? We have quashed the drama and we have refined the initial dream, the initial how do I say it? The original concept. It was tooled in the past, but it has been basically perfected at this point in time. In let's see, new NEW has been around for perhaps maybe 13 or 14 weeks, something like that. And in those 13 and 14 weeks, we have been basically drama free. There has not really been any issues in any way that haven't been handled professionally and with compassion for others in the promo community. And I'm very proud to say that.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that there hasn't been any problems, but anything that has happened, we've dealt with it like human beings that care about each other as other human beings and as fans of pro wrestling.
That's absolutely right. You're 100% correct on it. I think the one thing is that everybody wanted certain things because it is a fantasy world. But let's just go ahead. We'll talk. Basically, it's wrestling, and people want to get in the ring. They want to compete, but everybody wants to be the champion.
Correct.
Not everybody can be the champion. In order to be the champion, you got to be able to make the sacrifices, what it takes to be a champion. As you can see, I've held many world titles in my career, and
Yes,
not to again, but you know what I mean. I was the first ever NEW World Heavyweight Champion. I
that is
didn't
correct.
expect it to happen, but I did end up being it. And was I proud of being a champion? You're damn right I was, Leech.
You
So
are also currently an NEW champion. You are the current NEW Death Champion, which
yes.
is a title that the Leech himself created for his own nefarious purposes. Muahahaha. But
That's
it's a lesser title than the main one, but it's not an unimportant title in NEW. So yes,
you're absolutely correct.
congratulations.
And thank you for that. And one day I will once again become the world's heavyweight champion. But
Yes,
as
you
the
will.
death champion, explain to the audience what the death champion means.
Okay, let us explain. For this particular federation, so to speak, we have a system of points. It's a point system in NEW where each match, each winner of each match earns a specific number of points, and those points can be traded in for title shots, for briefcases, for to basically get what you want in NEW.
Mhm.
Now, the death title, which is the title that Nemesis currently holds, that person gets double the amount of points for every successful match that they are in. However, the loser of a death match loses all of their points. They don't get any points. The only way that they can not have that happen is to take the death title off of the champion in a death title match, which the Leech would like to point out you have a title defense coming up in a few days, my friend. King Vampire will be challenging you for that title, so good luck, my friend.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. I hope King Vampire is aware that James
Oh,
Taylor
he
ain't gonna lay
knows. He
down for
knows.
nobody.
He knows.
we've had a couple of little run-ins in the past as well, and he knows me and I know him, and he's gonna have to understand that I'm not ready to give up any title whenever I have it. And if you see James Taylor on the card, then you know you're gonna have the best match of the night. I don't care if it's the opening match, the middle of the show, or if it's the main event. No matter what, Leech. And I think you know when the Nemesis is on the card, you can bet that it's going to be the best match of the
See,
of the
now
night.
in NEW, the way it works is if you manage to acquire 10 or more points, that gets you a title shot or a briefcase.
Mm-hmm.
A couple days ago, King Vampire had 9 points, but he was in a 4-on-4 match, which the Nemesis was in. So Nemesis' team of 4 individuals won that match, thusly wiping out all the points on the opposing team.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
don't
was
want to mess,
reporting.
don't want to mess with the Death Champion.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to show why I'm the most dominating Death Champion because it is what it stands up for. And I know it didn't make too many people very happy, and I can understand that. But you know, that's what makes this business all great because you got to be a selfish man in this business sometimes, Leech. You
Indeed,
don't need to care about nobody except yourself,
that is correct.
especially if it comes down to putting this son of a bitch on the line. So that being said, before I get a little agitated, let me go ahead and veer off to the next thing. Creating new and your very own Twitch channel. Why did you create both?
Well, at the time, there was a void, so to speak, in the promo community. A few things happened in the real world that required a restructuring of a promo federation. And it wasn't the Leech's intention to create new, it just sort of fell into the Leech's lap. Uh, certain certain events happened the way that they did, and the Leech was put in charge of a server. And there were a handful of people that were kind of lost and wandering around and didn't have much direction. So the Leech did a little research and did a little information searching and discovered that Twitch was a broadcast service on PlayStation. So the Leech created an EW, created all the characters, created all the people that were in PCW and PWF, and a couple other promotions, and we have a roster now that consists of somewhere in the vicinity of 100 some odd people, both men and women. There
Nice.
are 4 titles for each gender. There is the main TikTok title. There is a what you would call a mid card title,
Mm-hmm.
and there is the tag titles, and there is the death titles. So
Right.
um, it was basically created in an attempt to give people an outlet. Originally, in like the first week or two, it was supposed to be promo battles, but we kind of veered away from that because we did not want the drama that can sometimes occur in the promo community. So it was quickly decided that all matches will be decided virtually, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it is a fair concept because the Leech does not have any control. The Leech sits back and lets the wrestlers do their thing in the ring. The ref's decision is final, and you guys just do your thing, and whoever wins wins.
That's right.
It's
Absolutely.
probably the best, fairest way of doing things.
And
Promos help, but they are not required in NEW.
I think the biggest difference between what NEW is now and the way that game works and what PWF was is the fact that when I was doing PWF, this is a little out of character, but in the mixture of in character, and that's a whole nother story. But long story short, I created the show as an image and to give it the full fledged show with premeditated planning who was going to win what match and whatnot, and ran it like a real show. And as great as that was, and over it was getting, it became very stressful to do it at the same time.
Yeah,
Whereas in your simple factor, you turned something that was good into a very simplistic way that actually works organically by making it randomized where nobody knows who's going to win. It's specifically just whatever the computer decides, and that brings the intense the suspense of it, and like really watching it as a show,
indeed.
and that is very entertaining, and a lot of people like that. A lot of people like it a lot.
Indeed, that is very true. The leech basically sits back and hits a button, and the button just makes you guys do what you do. There,
Mhm.
this is now. Let the leech toot his own horn for just a moment. As of this moment in time, there are 2,200 some odd people following the Twitch for NEW, which here, shameless plug, my friend, you can find at twitch.tv/reddeadleech.
And I will put that link right in the below in the description here on
Yes.
YouTube for my for James Taylor's 16,800 subscribers. All
Yes.
of you guys will know where you can watch this awesome product. And that actually leads to that question. 2,200 followers so far and growing very fast. How does this accomplishment affect you personally, and what does it mean to the Leech?
Well, it's basically like doing a house show. I mean, 2,200 people. That's a lot. That is quite a bit. That's basically as if you were you see in the game, so to speak, or in the virtual world, the images of people in the background, and most people think, oh, well, it's just a game, it's just people in the back. No, this is actual people, actual human beings that are actually watching this product.
Yeah.
We are this close to reaching affiliate status for NEW. That should happen in the next few days, my friend.
Yeah, and that's a very big accomplishment, and that's just like almost like the same thing when it came to the YouTube. It was more of a waiting for that monetization, and when I got over 1,000 subscribers, I was thrilled. But for it to blow up like it had to where I'm
Hmm.
at today, I'm thankful for every fan that's on
Well,
here.
pat yourself on the back, my friend. You've done well.
And the same with the Twitch. It's the same thing. It's something to be proud of. It's something to be excited about. And when I saw your Twitch blowing up, I was just like, that's awesome. That's awesome that it's doing
Indeed.
that. So and there it is. um so do you have pleasure with like, is it fun for you? Is this fun for
Well, the
you?
Leech does not get pleasure getting beaten up by the Horde. Let me tell you that. The Horde is growing every day. They're up to like about 10 or 12 members in that faction now. I mean, and they're a heel faction. The Nemesis and Leech are both faces in the wrestling world, and this is not good. We also have a heel GM in the form of Sarge, a person that you know very well.
Which we
Um,
haven't seen much of him lately. Was he on
Well,
vacation?
he was in the Rumble not too long ago, but
Mhm.
he's hiding around in the shadows. He'll make his appearances here and there, you know. But yes, so we were very heel heavy for a while there, but I think the faces have taken a comeback recently. I think the faces are in control for most part right now. Um,
Especially after that big tag team match, huh?
Yes, yes. We have a lot of face versus heel matches, which are like 4-on-4 matches, which are quite exciting. They usually last like about an hour for each match. It's amazing. You know, we having tons of people in the chat watching it live and reacting and like, oh my god, I can't believe so and so kicked out, and you know that sort of thing, which is always exciting.
Yeah. Um, I'm pretty sure back in the locker room there was a lot of upset heels, especially after losing to
After
me.
you wiped them out, yes, indeed.
There
Yeah,
wasn't a damn thing they could do about it, Mr. Leach. There just
no.
wasn't. So what's next for NEW? Where do you see? Actually, you know what? I think I put it right there perfectly. What does the future hold for the Leech and New? Where do you see all of this in the next year or two? If
Well, once we get to that affiliate status, then we get sponsorship and things take off from there. It's just that little tiny bit that we need, and then once that takes off, there's a lot of things planned. The Leech has many storylines, many other things that are down the pipeline. In fact, I believe the next major storyline is coming up in, I want to say, 2 weeks,
mm,
something like that.
good deal.
Uh, it has to involve a couple tour buses. Let's just leave it at that. You'll have to tune into the Twitch to find out what happens. But let's just say that we might have some mechanical issues in the future. You'll see. But I don't want to give away too much just yet. But you'll see what happens. But
Please,
there's a little hint of fantasy involved. We have the devil and God and Thanos and other mystical beings like myself involved. But for the most part, I'd say about maybe 90% is humans and human people with human reactions. There
mhm.
are a couple. What would you say? NPCs perhaps. That
Yeah,
run around in NEW, but there are quite a people that are not. Okay, so I
yeah,
mean, we've had dead people coming back. We've had Mahatma Gandhi. We've had Michael Jackson wrestling. That sort of thing. But we're trying to stay away from the bringing back the dead. It taxes the leeches energy. Sometimes we don't want to do that. So yeah, we're moving away from the fantasy a little bit. But it's just exciting. It's new. No pun intended. But
yeah.
yes. Um,
um, I think that's actually interesting. I mean, even like you had me as a tag partner with Stone Cold for a while. We were the tag
yes,
champions.
yes,
That
indeed.
that was interesting, and that was really fun.
We had
Um,
a couple double champions for a little while. Everybody has their is a single champion at this particular moment in time, but for a little while we had a couple double champions. I believe Irish Outlaw had a couple belts for a while, including the world belt.
yep,
But we've kind of solved that little issue and that dilemma.
yep,
So
yep, that's
yeah,
true. That's true, and everything happens for a reason. It looks like we got so Irish was actually the first ever two-time world champion, and then I see that Prodigy is now
yes.
two-time world champion finally.
But the Prodigy is the current NEW male TikTok champion. We have male and female. So the female TikTok champion is currently someone known as Ravari. But
Yeah,
that's a whole different side there. We do have human women TikTok champions and wrestlers and whatnot in NEW. It's not all any NPCs. We are diverse. We have both genders.
yeah. You got my wife Jillian Taylor in there, and she's
That is
almost
correct.
the
We
women.
even we even we even have people that have no genders that
Yeah,
are non-binary. So
there you
we're
go.
trying to be inclusive. We have a couple of Pride characters in NEW.
Who's a Pride Championship,
Yeah,
right?
actually, that is correct. The women champions are Pride champions. So yes, we have a couple of non-binaries and things like that. So we're trying to be inclusive to all. You
Mhm.
know.
And that's a very interesting thing. Um, Lastly, I mean, we mold it into a lot, but what are your ultimate goals for New and your
Oh,
Twitch?
world domination, my friend. No, I'm kidding.
That,
But well, just basically to bring everyone together. They're not to cause drama or whatnot, but there are other entities and other federations out there that can't get along. That uh, they just. I don't know how to say it without sounding negative, and I'm not trying to sound negative, but they can't seem to get all on the same page. All that NEW is attempting to do is to have people have fun. That's it.
amen.
It is an oasis. We are trying to not have drama, just sit back, watch some fun wrestling and fun matches and just be entertained and relax and chill out, maybe with a mai tai or something, But that's all we're trying to do here. We're not trying to put other people down. We're not trying to bully people. We're not trying to say we are better than anyone else. We're simply dorks in masks that are simply enjoying a wrestling product. That is all we are doing.
You're 100% correct on that. And that's what it was ultimately all supposed to be. You can hear me all right, right?
Yes, indeed.
Um, that's all it was supposed to be, was just fun. It's supposed to be fun, but drama and power gets to a lot of people's heads and egos. And in the wrestling business, even in the backyard world, the egos and politics is a big thing. And I never in my wildest dreams would have ever thought that there were politics in backyard wrestling, especially because back in the day when I did that, and I'm sure you've seen some of my older matches,
Yes.
we didn't have politics. It was just like, hey man, okay, so we're gonna do this match. Such and such is gonna win because we're gonna try and that's just what we're doing for today. Okay, cool. And that was it. Now it's all like, okay, well, you have to be here for this long. You have to do this. We have to see what you're about. Blah 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 blah. And I'm
Let,
just
let,
like,
let, let, let the leech say something, though, that in one thing you do not see in NEW is me, the leech, as the head champion of the company. I may
oh,
have a match here or there, just to keep the ring rust off and whatnot. But I'm not wearing a title. I'm not interested in that. The leech is the one that is creating all of this. I'm not making myself the champion and keeping the belt for 9 months on end. And I'm not the one that is booking myself into championship matches. I might have one. I think I had a match with the new entity of violence the other day. We had a spectacular 30-minute Iron Man match just for shits and giggles. Pardon my French, but you
oh,
know
that's fine. There's no censorship on
Oh,
here.
okay. Well, we had that so that the leech could get the ring rust off because the leech hasn't had a match in months. So we put on a spectacle show, and I believe the leech was defeated in that match. But that's not the point. The point is that the leech is not designed NEW to promote the leech. It is designed to promote everyone else. There are entities out there where the owners of said companies are their own champions. That should not be the case, but the leech will just leave it at that.
I agree. And I feel that you carried on what I had in PWF because I never once made myself the champion. I never once competed for a title. I never once held a title. The last time before I became the NEW World Heavyweight Champion, Leech, the last time I was champion was 17 months ago, and that was in PCW, and I lost that title to the Enlightened One Buddha. After that, I never held a title for 17 months until new was created and you had a tournament for your first ever champion. And I just so happened to get the lucky straw on it, and that was randomized, just
That
like
is
with
correct.
the
It was
game.
an 8-man match, the knock 'em the F out match, and you were fortunate enough to win that, and you won the title. Now, coincidentally, by pure coincidence, because he earned 10 points, your good buddy Buddha has a title shot coming up pretty soon.
Mhm.
Will it be against the Prodigy? Nobody knows yet at this point, but if Prodigy and Buddha happens, who's your money going to be on?
That's the perfect question you can ask me. Now you see, I'll go ahead and do a little detail real quick. I see the Prodigy as a young prospect. Hell, the kid's already a two-time world champion. He says he doesn't care what anybody thought of me or him. You know how he does his little rhyme. And I don't know if you saw that. And I apologize in advance, but James Taylor had to decide to go ahead and install a ring camera on the locker room door. And
Oh, yes, the Leech did see that. The Leech saw that, yes.
and
Leech knows what you're
I,
talking about.
they were knocking on the door, and these guys called them the Blood Brothers or whatever the hell it was. And I'm sorry, it was a joke to me. Now I see Prodigy. He's a good kid, but he's not a believable champion to me. Maybe I'm being an ass about it, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk my trash. I don't believe him as champion yet. I don't think he really wants to be champion. I don't think he's ready. If he's ready, then I'd love for him to show me. But I think when the Enlightened One Buddha finally cashes in, if Prodigy's lucky enough to keep it until then, I think, well, no, I'm just going to say it. I know that Buddha's going to knock his damn head off and take that title. And I'm going to go ahead and call it just down the middle. How fitting and delightful it would be for James Taylor to get his revenge after 17, 18 months and one-on-one once again for the World Heavyweight Championship. James Taylor takes back that title that he
Well, that
lost.
is certainly possible. But
Yeah.
I can tell you this much. I do believe that that particular match is on, I want to say, the 25th of September, I think it is. But do you know who the next person in line for a title shot is after Buddha?
If I was to remember correctly, I want to say Peter.
That is not correct. Peter does have a shot in the hardcore championship.
Right.
But the next person in line after Buddha is Violence, the person previously known as Lethal Injection. This is a formidable foe. He just defeated the Leech not too long ago.
And then after Violence, it's going.
We have the women and whatnot, but that's a whole, there's a little bit of a waiting list, so to speak, to get shots at the main title. So
only so many briefcases to go around, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes. You got one men's and one women, I believe. But
there are currently, the way it works is there's three, at most three briefcases that can occur at any given time. One is for the Death Championship, which right now you hold. The person who has the briefcase that can cash in on you is a member of the Horde known as Deathclaw. He holds the briefcase for that title. There is also one briefcase for the mid-card title, which is currently for the Hardcore Championship, which is being held by Joey Knight Jr. Oh. He has the briefcase that is targeting Irish Outlaw, who is our current Hardcore Champion. Lastly, there is a briefcase for the TikTok Championship, but that is currently targeting the women's side. The TikTok Championship briefcase is being held by Cindy Rage, which is targeting the women's champion, Ravari. So once she decides to cash in on Ravari, then that would open up another briefcase battle. Or the briefcase could be given to the next person on the list. It's up to them, for example. For example, like when Violence gets his turn, he can either directly have a match or he can choose to have a briefcase. The choice is up to him. So we will have to wait and see what happens when his turn comes up.
Right. And that's going to be interesting to see. I believe that it's in due time that Violence, or whatever he wants to call himself now, is definitely in deservance of being a champion. And I think he wants it more than anybody right now in that locker room, other than maybe a few I can name. But hey, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. What's the biggest thing that you think is going to happen this year in new that you're possibly looking forward to without giving away too many hints?
Are you talking in character stuff, or okay? Well, in character, the biggest thing that could possibly happen. Well, that's a good question. We have had one individual by the name of Brandon Dicey's, who was previously the hardcore champion before Irish got it, and he had an amazing, absolutely amazing 8 defenses with the hardcore title, which in a randomized game is unbelievably you every single title defense is a 50-50 chance with
True.
one-on-one action of defending.
Hmm.
You have a 50-50 chance. And I'm starting to sound like Scott Steiner, but so we'll stop that. But the point is that to defend the hardcore title 8 times before being defeated by Irish is an amazing accomplishment. I would love to see an extended streak of any of whether it's a male or female or non-binary that holds the title and has an amazing run with it. We are starting to limit title matches to once a month for each title, but that's
Yeah.
neither here nor there. If we could get someone, whether it is you or another individual in NEW, to get a title and successfully defend that title for a stretch of several months, that would be a hell of accomplishment.
Yeah.
I know probably somewhere in December or so we will have match of the year and Hall of Fame and whatever for NEW. We will determine who is the NEW Superstar of the Year. You sir are in the running for that, but so are a few others. But we will see come December-ish. Who is, as according to the people that are viewing, who is the best in NEW. We will let them vote, and they
Yeah.
will decide who is the best. 2,200 some odd people will vote, and they will tell you who is the best in the company. That is what you have to look forward to.
That's going to be an interesting way to put it. Let the fans decide. Put it in the fans' hands and let them. Who's their favorite NEW superstars? Who is it that they like to watch? Who is it that they root for the most? Who's the ones that they believe in the most? You know what I mean?
Indeed.
Have you ever thought? And I thought of this as a question just now. Have you ever thought on the channel, on the Twitch channel, you already got the game going. Have you ever thought about bundling up some of the promos, put it into one video?
The Leech has thought about doing that, about doing basically what we are doing now, about doing live promos and things like that. The Leech is a little technology stunted. The Leech was around for the invention of the telegraph and things like that. So I mean, the Leech is a little bit behind in technology. So once the Leech can figure out all the ones and zeros, then perhaps that could be something that could happen down the road. But the Leech might need a little help with that. So we
That,
shall see.
that on fortunate you of knowing James Taylor, I happen to be a pretty decent computer whiz myself, and I could definitely teach you some technology skills, and would have no problem doing so nonetheless.
We'll have to have a phone call or something and work something out here.
I could work it in my schedule, I guess. Yeah, I could work for you,
Yeah.
Leech. So, do you have any questions for me? Is there anything that the Leech would like to know? Whether it's James.
Well, you have met and faced the Leech in the ring several times, but you are also one of the very few people that have seen under
Yes,
the mask and have seen the Leech's face and have lived to tell the tale. That is
I
a
got
rare thing.
lucky enough to live to tell the tale. I think it took a little couple of dollars from my wallet to get you to leave me alone. But hey, it is what it is. Don't worry, I'm still here. The camera's going off for just a second. But yes, I will say that in all fairness, that James Taylor did live to see the Leech's face and get away with it. And I guess the Leech, decided to forgive him. But what about the Leech meeting James Taylor for the first
That
time?
was that was interesting. The Leech hopes that at some point we can physically interact again in the future in the ring. That would be great. The Leech would love to do that. The Leech has met you and Buddha. Are the two people that have seen the Leech under the mask and lived to tell the tale. Um, so we shall see what will happen. The Leech travels quite a lot, so you know who knows what will happen in the near future.
Is there anybody that the Leech is wanting to meet?
Well, the funny thing was that lethal violence was actually in the neighborhood of the Leech, but unfortunately, the Leech was out of town when that particular incident happened, so our paths did not exactly cross. But that would be an interesting interaction if that were to come to pass. But the Leech would be more than happy to meet anyone on the NEW roster or any other roster. So who
Do
knows?
Do you think the Leech and James Taylor might ever meet in person again?
That's what I'm saying. It's certainly possible. It is definitely possible. I'm not certain when that would be, but it is certainly in the realm of possibility. The Leech almost met Peter Richards the day that he met Buddha, but things happen. But
Yeah, Peter
so
Richards is a little scaredy cat sometimes.
so we shall see.
um, I will go ahead and we'll wrap this up here for you because I know that you're a
Fair
busy
enough.
man,
Fair enough.
got things to go. But I wanted to ask, what have you thought of some of James Taylor's backyard wrestling matches? Have you
It's
was
it's
any?
it's very interesting. Now the Leech would love to do that at some point in the future. Whether that happens, who can say? But that would be a dream come true if the Leech could do something like that. The Leech sometimes inhabits a human body that is somewhere around 50 some odd years old, and to do that to do that at 50 would be interesting. Although the Leech has been around for thousands of years and all that, but
You
you
can't
know,
kill Bleach.
yes, a 50-year-old Leech wrestling in a backyard wrestling ring would be certainly interesting to see. I would think, but
I wanted to share a little something with you real quick, Leech. Something that, in a sort of way, I think that the Leech and the Nemesis kind of have an intertwined story in a sort of weird way. Do you know what created the Nemesis?
I believe it was Resident Evil. I believe the T virus and all that good stuff.
Do you know how the T virus originally spread into the animals and into the humans? Actually, the first experiment that the T virus was injected into. Do you know what it was?
Uh, Raccoons, I believe, Raccoon City.
No,
Not too certain on that, but
no, they were injected. You can look it up if you don't believe me. Resident Evil Zero. They were actually experimented on leeches.
go figure. But
Yeah,
yeah,
fun
why?
fact.
Well, of course, my minions. Why not? Yes, you
Yes, and
know.
they had leech men. I need to show you some of them clips one day. I have speed runs of Resident Evil
Oh
Zero.
yes, well, why not? Yes,
There
you
it is.
know.
But the T virus was originally injected into these leeches that made them kind of like a little bit bigger than normal leeches, and they infected a whole train's worth of human people, and infected them all. And then they spread out into the forest, raccoon forest, and then went into the mansion and had the mansion incident. But then ended up spreading out into Raccoon City. But the T virus was first injected into a leech, and it never
Go figure. Well, that would explain a lot then.
fun
Yes.
fact for you. I thought you'd like that.
Yes, indeed. Well, this has been fun. So it is must see TV. We should do this again sometime, my
We
friend.
we definitely can. We'll go ahead. We'll wrap it up here. Last thing is, do you have any questions for me or the fans watching, or anything you'd like to say before we end this?
How about you tell us what you're going to do to King Vampire to defend that title?
Well, I mean, it's no question about it. It may be two or three moves, and I'll decimate that whole lot. As far as King Vampire goes, I'll knock his head off just for having that stupid name. Because when he gets into the ring with the Nemesis, I am literally a tyrant king in that match, in that ring. That ring is my office. That ring is my world. And King Vampire can sit there and show all the fangs and all the crap he wants to. It doesn't scare me. It doesn't intimidate me. And I promise you, at the end of the day, it'll be 1, 2, 3. You're still looking at the Death Champion, And that's because there can't be no other way.
Indeed, my friend. So, yes, we will do this again at some point in the future, my friend.
We definitely will. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, all my friendly operatives, I want to thank you all for dropping in today. This is the Leech. I am going to leave a link in the description below for his Twitch channel, the Red
Thank
Dead,
you.
I believe it is.
Twitch.tv/Red Dead Leech.
There
Yes.
it is. And then you can see all the NEW superstars and your favorite type of matches. And please request matches that you'd like to see on the channel
Indeed.
live streams.
Yes.
But for now, we're going to go ahead and end it here. And I will see you all in the next episode. You can just hang on 1 second, Leech. And we will see you all later on down the road. Until then, we'll see you later. And